Creepy hospital experience. Hey guys, this is my first post since I'm pretty new to Reddit, and I'm not even sure if this is the right place to post, but it seems appropriate, as my post is of what I am convinced was a paranormal experience, so I'll give it a go. Sorry if this is too long or unorganized. So anyways, just over a year ago, my father had a heart attack. The cardiac part of the hospital goes in one way and out another, so it's pretty hard to find the right door when you're new to visiting that ward. The second time he was admitted, my mother and I found it easy to get there. There are normally a lot of staff around to help. However, the second or third time he had gone onto the ward, it was a less busy time in the hospital, as we were dropping off his medications rather than visiting. Before I really start, I just want to give a clear picture of the hospital. It has 3 entrances, 2 at the front and 1 at the back, with various car parks based around these doors. The hospital is made up of an old and new building, which are connected by a bridge. The cardiac ward is in the old part of the hospital, however. This door has limited parking. We go in the back door, rather than the one which goes straight up to the cardiac ward, as the parking around there is full, taking us into the new building. This means that not only do we need to make our way to the top of the hospital, but also the other side, so we aren't sure where we are going and ask a nurse, who gave us a muddled version of the directions to the cardiac ward. We follow them for a while, and end up completely lost. So we ask another nurse, who gives us more directions, and we're lost again. We're both a stereotypical idiot female when it comes to following directions, so we try following signs, but we aren't sure where we are, as neither of us are familiar with the part of the hospital we have made our way into. Eventually, we end up in an elevator which looks like a service one, as it has a sliding mesh door rather than the solid metal ones. The buttons claim they can get us back to where we came, so we take it. This puts us at the other end of a corridor that we have been on before, so we take another elevator to put us down to the right floor, which ended up not being the right floor. We now have the option to go to floor 0, which my mom informs me is the morgue, as you need a key to get down there, or floor 3 unless you want to go higher up. We press to take floor 3 and end up in this empty white hallway with a disused end of life cancer ward. Creepy as fuck. I'm instantly creeped out. We are in a white hallway with an old ward, beds and equipment abandoned. An old flight of stairs going up to somewhere you can't see, and is not signposted. A set of double doors at the end of the hall, and an older couple in their 50s, wearing reasonably modern clothes. The man looking into the ward with his hand on the woman's shoulder, and the woman just stood, face to the wall. My mother looks around and suggests we go find someone to ask where we go from here, and does not notice this creepy couple standing right in front of us until I point them out. They do not acknowledge us in the same way she did not acknowledge them. She then goes to walk down the corridor, as I'm contemplating what the hell I should do, because I don't want to stay on my own, but I don't want to go through the doors. And then this nurse in a uniform that clearly is not the same as the ones as the hospital opens the door just wide enough to get through, walks out into the corridor, looks us right in the face and says, "You should not be down here with us." I tell my mom to get back in the elevator, but she tries to ask the nurse where we need to go. The nurse replies with the highest button, so we get in and press the one she said. Whilst this is taking us God knows where, I have a bad feeling about what just happened, so I try and make sense of it by asking if the nurse's uniform means that she works in a specific area or has higher training. My mom used to work at the hospital cleaning, so she's seen most of the uniforms worn. She replies no, and that the nurse maybe came from another hospital for a training program or help out or something. The elevator opens, and we get out and walk down another empty corridor. This time we bump into a nurse wearing the usual uniform, walking back towards a different elevator. She stops us going any further and tells us we are on the floor with operating rooms and we can't stay up there. We tell her that we are lost and get into the elevator with her, which puts us in a completely different part of the hospital where we need to be. Problem solved, apart from what I am convinced was an encounter with the paranormal. A few months ago, my dad was in the hospital again, and during visiting hours, one of his nurses came to talk to us. We had just been talking about what my parents described as a weird experience, and my dad asked the nurse if she knows where we could have been. She thinks that we are playing a joke on her and tells us that all of this is on the floors of the hospital and janitor corridors. We only have cupboards for cleaning supplies, no wards. When she realizes that we are serious, she says that maybe we bumped into the hospital ghost, an old nurse who has apparently been seen on the child's ward when a child is dying. After she leaves, the child makes a full recovery. I have heard of this story before about a kind spirit who helps others, and I can say 100% that whatever we saw was not kind and did not want us around. Of course, I can't be sure that it really was paranormal and not just a lover of the paranormal being biased, but it didn't feel right. They weren't in old-fashioned clothes, see-through or violent towards us, but I had this feeling of complete dread when we stepped out of that elevator. That coupled with the fact that my mom didn't see the couple straight away, and the nurse said the area does not exist, and the fact that neither of us can remember the facial features of anyone we saw on that floor, just the clothing and hair color, tells me that what we saw was not normal or good. I now have an absolute fear of going anywhere on my own in the hospital, just in case I can see anything that I'd rather not. I still get the creeps just thinking about it. Amityville, New York. Something weird happened to me while I was in a mental hospital in Amityville, New York, the same town of the DeFeo murders from the 70s. Anyways, I was in this hospital called Brunswick Hospital for 2 weeks, and in those 2 weeks I experienced scary stuff. Besides the fact that there were patients screaming and saying how much they want to kill everybody in other units. The first night there, I slept the whole day and night. Then in the day, I heard patients speaking about noises in the bathroom and stuff like that. I mean, I didn't believe at first, since the unit I was in was of kids. I was the oldest in the unit, 17. The second night, I started hearing shit in the bathroom, like someone in there walking for 30 to 40 minutes straight. And it was weird because if you took more than 10 minutes, the staff will come in and check up on you. And I never heard the staff knocking the door or opening the door at all. I didn't pay mind to it, and I kept on sleeping. The third night I went to the bathroom at 3 in the morning. I was having problems with my meds and I couldn't sleep. After I left the bathroom and I went to my room, I swear to God 2 minutes after I was out, I heard the sink going off and all the toilets going off at the same time. You best believe I didn't sleep that night. In the morning I tried to speak to the staff about it, but they decided to ignore my questions. I didn't pay mind to it. I mean, it is a mental hospital. What else should I expect? 2 days before I left, I felt somebody taking off my blankets, and as soon as I wake up, there was nobody there. My roommate was sleeping, and I knew it wasn't him. I woke him up and asked him if it was him, or if it had ever happened something like that to him before, and he later told me that he heard shit too, but didn't know what it was. Anyways, I left that place, and I hope I never go back there. My deceased grandmother visited me in the hospital. I posted this in a sticky thread that's looking for paranormal hospital stories, but I thought I'd make my own post as I've been meaning to tell this here for a while now. Also, if this story sounds familiar, I've told it before in a now deleted account. I'm the patient in this story. I just turned 19 and was about a month into my sophomore year in college, 4 hours away from home. I've been feeling very ill for days, and after being misdiagnosed by the campus health center with strep throat, I didn't even have a sore throat. I finally asked a friend to take me to a local ER. I was admitted immediately with a severe kidney infection. I would later find out from reading my medical records that doctors were concerned I had a heart attack due to my crazy high blood pressure and heart rate. I was in so much pain, but I hadn't been given anything besides a shot of Toradol. In the ER at 10 a.m., it was now 7 p.m., and I hadn't been seen by any doctor since being admitted, as they were waiting for a specialist to get there. This is when the situation turned paranormal. I was in the hospital bed, and my friend that had driven me was sitting next to me in a chair keeping me company. Suddenly, at the foot of my bed, a woman just kind of materialized. I quickly realized I was seeing my nanny, my mom's mother who died when I was 5 years old. I went wide-eyed thinking of all the stories I heard from nurses that say when patients start seeing deceased loved ones, they wind up dying shortly afterwards, and it's like their loved ones came to escort them to the other side. My nanny was wearing a blue muumuu, which she had approximately 1 million of those types of dresses in a rainbow of colors. She just smiled at me reassuringly and dissipated as quickly as she appeared. I asked my friend if she saw a woman at the foot of my bed, and she told me no and looked at me like I was nuts. Now, of course, this may be some kind of hallucination from the insane amount of pain I was in, as once I saw a doctor, I was on the good stuff for a week, and that's what skeptics explain it away as. But I really think my nanny visited me. I have further evidence that it was her. See, the doctor finally came in to see me at around 10 p.m. I did a double take when he walked in. This man looked exactly like my nanny's husband, my Pop. Pop died when I was 3 years old, but I remember him, and of course we have pictures as well. Also, my mom came to visit me and had tears in her eyes when she met this doctor, because he looked like he could have been her father's twin. So I of course told my mom about seeing Nani, and she agreed with me, especially after seeing the doctor that looked just like her father. That yes, it really seemed like her mother had come to visit me. I was seriously ill. The staff later told me they didn't think I would make it, especially after not responding to antibiotics for the first few days. Some of them even told me they prayed for me. Hell, even the very kind custodian that cleaned my room told me she prayed for me because she saw how miserably ill I looked. So we think Nani visited because she knew how poorly I was, and she knew how scared I was, so she wanted to comfort me. When I was very little, and was ill with a cold or a strep throat or something like that, I always wanted her to be the one to take care of me and make me her special soup. I think she knew I needed her comfort and reassurance, so she found a way to provide it, even after death.